The Tampa Bay Buccaneers quietly add a really unique player in free agency. If you're new to the channel, we're Detroit Lions fans, but this channel fully dedicated to teams that just kind of get overlooked by the national media. And the Tampa Bay Bucs, we've been on them, and man, Tampa Bay plays the Lions tough. Always beat us last year. Good team, and just love kind of seeing how Baker Mayfield makes his team go, and what they're doing in free agency is pretty cool. So let's take a look at. You have one unique player. So you've added some new guys. Haason Reddick, we'll get to him in just a second. But Kindle Vildor is really unique. Vildor adds valuable experience, depth to a position in the secondary that's been thinned by injuries and free agency. Last 2 years in Detroit, he appeared in a total of 68 games with 26 starts. Or sorry, he's had 2 seasons. I'm going to say 68 games in 2 years. That's pretty good. He has appeared in a total of 68 games, 26 starts. Last 2 seasons, though, he's played a lot and appeared in almost every single game for the Lions because the Lions, decimated by injuries, put Vildor in there. So Vildor gets a bad rap. This is why he's unique. He's not starter level, but he's absolutely, when he comes in, you're like, okay, cool. It's Vildor. Now he got bashed by the Lions fans because he gave up a huge play in the NFC Championship game. So 2 years ago, the Lions, he was like our CB1. He went from just kind of a bench player to being out there playing huge snaps for us. Last year, same thing, injuries, Vildor's out there. So you get a starter level corner for next to nothing. And everyone's looking for corners. Everyone's looking for secondary help. And he's unique because it's a starter level corner that you would have to pay usually big money for, that you get really cheap because ultimately he's a fringe starter, right? Like he can start for you, but you don't want him out there day in and day out or game in and game out being your CB2 or whatever. You just want him, hey man, spell some of our starters. If we have to go on a 2-3 game stretch where you're the starter, you feel very confident. So it's a very unique thing to get Vildor. And I hate that he left. I'm a Vildor fan. And it's a whole thing if you're a Lions fan because you love him, hate him. It's like realistically, we understand we like Vildor. And now he's gone. He's with the Bucs. So good find with getting Vildor. Now, the other one that I think is really unique is Haason Reddick. And let me know in the comments what you like most so far about the moves that you've made in free agency. I think there's a couple things. You haven't overspent. Free agency, if you get really excited about free agency, it's because you're a bad team that's overpaying for okay players. And if you're a good team, you don't overdo it. You're patient. You get deals. You find ways to find people. Right? There's just a lot to it that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing. But Haason Reddick, I really love because Reddick wound up playing just 392 snaps in 2024 after a long holdout with the Jets, ended in a trade. At 30 years old, he still had plenty left in the tank. That's the whole key. Basically got a rest year in the middle of his career, like kind of somewhat in the back half of his career, right? Back half of his career. He gets basically just an off year. Not rehabbing an injury, not going through that, just took a year off. So he's got a couple more years of high quality football left in him, and he's going to be with you. So, man, if I'm a Tampa Bay Buc fan, we wanted to get better defensively on the edge, and I think I think it's going to be really interesting to see. Very unique, right, to have somebody that you just didn't play basically last year. So I love that one and love to see Haason Reddick. Now, another thing, overall, PFF ranked your free agency so far at an A-. And what they do on that is they take into consideration your needs. Did you overspend? There's, PFF, they got a whole formula for everything. And I think that is exactly right, though. I think the Tampa Bay Bucs are right in a great spot with how they've managed free agency. Don't overspend. Don't get crazy. Any team that's overspending and going crazy never ends well. You don't win in the fall when you overspend in free agency. It's just, that's how it works. Here's what's most important: the draft. Look at the Tampa Bay Bucs. They have everything but a 6th round pick. So in all things considered, they're in really good shape. You look at what Tankathon has them doing. Look at, this is again just one scenario, of course, but look what could happen is you could go defensive end now. So that's just solidified. Mike Green is like kind of perfect, right in that late teens is where everyone thinks he's going to go, and he's the first like big name outside of the big name. Defensive end, the guy from Penn State. But then Mike Green, Darian Porter. Look what you just did with your defense in 2 seconds. You have injected youth, athleticism. I love it. I love seeing that right there. And you look at past drafts. I mean, Bucky Irving at 125. Hello. I mean, you could see how if you could hit 2 or 3, you don't even need to hit like all that many. You just need to hit a Bucky Irving, Cansey. And it doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter if you're in beginning of the draft, end of the draft. Find a couple guys that you can just hit. And I think overall, if you look at these drafts, you just wish they were a touch better. They're not terrible, but there's a couple drafts where you're just like, man, you want to look at your team, you can just look at the last couple drafts. It's crazy how important the draft is. And that's what I think kind of fuels football and its popularity is draft picks mean something. So then you can trade for draft picks and guys, and then you're going to pay attention to the draft and who we draft. And I mean, NFL is super popular because of the draft. And so can't wait to see what the Bucs do. I think, we looked at it a couple different ways. Let me show you. When you look at the mock draft, I like looking at kind of who's around. So again, we said Mike Green, but you got Williams from Georgia, another end, a linebacker Campbell, Shamar Stewart, Jalen Walker. There's a ton of edges that are right in this range for you. Defensive lineman and Kenneth Grant, another corner there. So this pick, it just feels like get it right. Get this one right. There's going to be a ton of players to pick from. And if you do, you'll be off to the races. I mean, the Bucs are right there in a great manageable division. I think that's the ultimate thing about you've done it now 2 years in a row. It's like you're there, playoffs, home playoff game. Let's do this. I love everything that the Tampa Bay Bucs are doing. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see all of you on the next one.